How long has this book been here? About a year, would you say? Not that long. I bought it, I think, around February, if I'm not mistaken. Here's your microphone, by the way. You get a real life microphone. And I looked at the cover and I was just completely perplexed. I read the back and the front, and I said, I don't know what this book's about. So I bought the darn thing. It's really interesting. I read it 3 times. And most recently because I was going to go talk to Linda about this. Now, Linda, you start off in a book about a guy named Jazzy?
Jazzy.
You were selling some radio advertising for him?
I sold him a phone system.
A phone system, that's right. You were at the phone company at that time, right? Then later on you were into radio advertising.
I worked radio advertising for the phone company.
Oh, okay. I guess I need to read the book 4 times. Yeah, so this Jazzy guy took you on your first small plane ride.
He did.
And where did you go? From Fort Collins to?
DIA.
Nope. Stapleton.
Oh, you're right.
I read the book. I don't have to read it 4 times.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So it was Stapleton Airport, a small plane landing at Stapleton Airport with all the big planes like Erica flew. And And how was that ride?
It was wonderful on the way down. I was the only passenger, and I got a guided tour all the way down. It was just wonderful. We landed and waited to see if there would be any passengers returning to Fort Collins. There were not. We were the only 2 on the flight back home, too. And while we waited, we had an ice cream cone and strolled through the airport.
Yeah, and in the book you wrote about this guy with beautiful dark hair, wavy hair.
Yes.
You had a crush on him right from the start.
Yes, I was very interested right from the start.
Yeah. And so in like about the first, I want to say, 40 pages of your book, you're talking about a guy named Jazzy. But the book's about some guy named Michael Chowdry. So how did that come along?
Michael was growing in his business. We had several companies that we started. They would run for a while, then they would fail, and we would move to the next business. But he felt that his name was Ijaz Akbar, and he felt he needed a more Americanized name to be working with business people. So he changed his name to Michael Chowdry.
There we go, and that was just before you got married. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting at that point. And then you got married, and then he was in the air transport business. I guess that would be the word. And he had his airplane repossessed.
He did. He had a small commuter. The backbone of his business was flying United pilots from Fort Collins to Stapleton. And he grew that business to include more routes and consolidated a little hodgepodge of small planes into a Swearingen 19-passenger prop jet. And the company itself financed the plane for him. They got wind of the fact that he was having a very difficult time making his payments, and they repossessed the airplane one day. I was in Fort Collins at the time, and I got a call from him in the middle of the day, which was very odd. I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Nothing." And he said, "They just repossessed my airplane and I'm out of business." So that's how that went.
Yeah, and what I really thought was, this part is like the most, well, there's a lot of memorable pieces, but this was really memorable, was, but he had some gates that he won in a lottery.
Yes.
And so here's a guy that now is completely devastated, financially ruined, and tell us how he turned this one around.
He marketed these slots, these landing slots, to United Airlines for $1 million. So he went from being poor one day with no business at all to having $1 million.
So there we go. So that's good, some good startup money, and of course he started up and worked on the next airline venture. Which was that?
Well, actually, he lost all the money. So we were back to square one, but he had an idea to do a leveraged buyout of Frontier Horizon at the time. And he was able to do that. He acquired 727s in that transaction, and that launched a regional carrier that was based in the Southeast. So that was the next business, and he lost that business as well.
There we go. So, but he was successful eventually.
He was successful.
Yeah.
His final chapter in life was he founded a company called Atlas Air Cargo, which is flying today. It's Atlas Worldwide Holdings, which is headquartered in Purchase, New York. They fly large cargo. They do not deliver packages like UPS and FedEx. They are the largest 747 carrier in the world, and they have recently been flying for Amazon, which has been a real boon to the business, yes. So they continue to grow and flourish, which is a wonderful legacy that Michael left behind.
There you go. Yeah, it's a really, really good read. It's a fun read. There's stuff about the family, your kids, and everything. And the last part's a little sad because he did pass away in an airline in a plane accident here in Colorado, not too far from here. And that was like the saddest part. But you really covered it well. And you had the investigative reports on that, theories about why it all happened and everything like that. And I'm really sad when I read that part, you know. So is there anything else you wanted to talk maybe about your book?
People who have read it have said it's a wonderful book. They've thoroughly enjoyed it, which has been very gratifying. It was a fun project for me. It took 3 years, and it's a milestone in my life to have written it. And I would love for you to visit my table so I can tell you more about the book.